state will use the drug pentobarbital to execute Honey in a matter of minutes. It's a drug used in medicine to treat people in hospital settings, but in very large quantities, it can be deadly. The state chose to use this drug after considering sodium thiopental, or a three-drug combination that includes ketamine, fentanyl, and potassium chloride.
The question is, what happens if something goes wrong during the execution process? The death warrant is valid until midnight Friday. Now, we spoke with Robin Mayer with the Death Penalty Information Center, who says, indeed, things can go wrong.
We have seen in other states when executions are botched, a lot of staff don't know what to do. There's a panic in the room, a lot of running around trying to figure out what to do next. All of that prolongs the suffering of the prisoner and of all the people that are watching. It also traumatizes the prison staff that are participating in this execution.
Now, Glenn Mills, who is the spokesperson for the Utah Department of Corrections, said, "We are confident our team will carry it out in an effective and professional manner, and we are planning for multiple scenarios."
A 2014 study on capital punishment found that around 3% of executions are botched. The study by Austin Serrett, a professor of jurisprudence and political science at Amherst College, discovered lethal injections bring the highest rate of botched executions.
So here's a breakdown of which methods are offered in prisons and their success rates. Let's take a look on your screen here. The firing squad has seen the lowest number of mistakes historically, with a failure rate of about 0%. In 120 years worth of study. But that claim is contested by the Salt Lake Tribune. You can read more about that. Electrocution is the second lowest at just under 2% failure rate. Hanging is the third at just over 3%. The gas chamber is under 5.5% failure rate, and lethal injection is at 7%. Now, all methods combined average at just over 3%.
But what do botched executions look like when they play out? It's not nice to talk about, but it does happen. In 1983, John Evans was sentenced to the electric chair in Alabama. Immediately after the first jolt of electricity went into Evans's body, flames erupted from the electrode on his leg. Sparks and smoke were visible under Evans's hood. After doctors discovered a heartbeat, they sent another jolt of electricity into Evans, resulting in smoke and burning flesh. The doctors still found a heartbeat, giving a third jolt of electricity, despite Evans' lawyer's plea. He died 14 minutes later, charred and smoldering.
In 1983, Jimmy Lee Gray was sentenced to death in the gas chamber in Mississippi. Witnesses watching that execution had to leave just 8 minutes in as Gray's gasps for air repulsed those in attendance. Gray's defense attorney stated he died banging his head against a steel pole in the gas chamber, while reporters counted his 11 last moans. It was reported later the executioner at the time was drunk.
In 1992, Donald Eugene Harding was sentenced to death by asphyxiation. His death took 10.5 minutes once cyanide tablets were dropped into the chamber. A journalist that witnessed the execution said, quote, "This man was suffering. This was a violent death and ugly event. We put animals to death more humanely." Another witness said they saw his body turn from red to purple.
Now, in 2022, Joe Nathan James was sentenced to death by lethal injection. A private autopsy afterwards discovered the story that Alabama's Department of Corrections told was false. ADOC reportedly failed several times to put an IV into his arm. A doctor said the execution team was unqualified for the task. It took 3 to 3.5 hours from the first injection to James's death. A human rights group found James's death was the longest on record involving any method of execution in recorded history. Authorities say they were asked if James was conscious when the curtains opened. She responded, "I can't confirm that."